Hi, everyone. So I think we can start. Thanks for joining this webinar today. So maybe I will start with a quick introduction about QuoteMachine. My name is JD. I'm the CEO of QuoteMachine. All right, sharing my screen now. There you go. So QuoteMachine, just to give you some context, is a small company with something like 15 employees. My co-founder and I launched this business in 2018. So what's interesting for you guys is that both of us used to work at Lightspeed. So we have a very good relationship with the Lightspeed team, which obviously helps building really nice integrations with this platform. So today I'll be showing you how we help with event sales. So first, you'll see how you can provide an outstanding sales experience for banquets or golf outings, especially how you can simplify payment collections and contract management, and all that through our event sales module. Then I'll give you an overview of our event registration module. So this module will help you collect payments in a clean way while providing a flexible and interactive registration experience. So let me, while I'm getting ready to share and show you the products. One thing about events, so it is for you maybe, or it will become a very big line of revenue. So whether you organize golf outings or banquets, selling events is also quite an involved process. So what we've seen at QuoteMachine is that the process you follow to make event sales can vary a lot. Maybe you set up on-site visits with the customer, maybe you have them sign contracts, maybe you have to collect multiple payments in preparation for the event. And usually QuoteMachine can help you with all this. So one thing also to keep in mind with events is that customers assume the way you treat them through these, I would call them administrative process, is a reflection of how they will be treated during their event. So that's why all the steps before the event should be a great experience too. And that's where I think QuoteMachine can be of great help. So on screen right now, I have an example of how QuoteMachine can help. So what you see here is a proposal, a quote that a customer can access online. So typically they get that in their email, they click on it, they can open it from their phone or from their computer, and they get access to your offer basically. And you have a lot of space to describe the services you can provide, obviously the pricing. And here in this case, you have photos with details about the venue. It's extremely flexible. And so when you're a buyer, a customer, in this case, somebody organizing their wedding, when they see that, right away, they are really inspired and they want to work with you and they know it's the right place for them. So not only the visit, but what happens after. And what happens after starts with QuoteMachine. So here, just to give you a quick overview of the features from the customer side, you can see the quote is interactive, so they can pick between these two options, which one they prefer, because maybe you had a quite intensive conversation, but in the end, like there are still quite a few things that are left to be decided. So it's one good way to do it. You can also upsells like this when the customer is back home from the comfort of their home. They are sometimes more willing to spend a little bit more. So like this, as you can see, the customer can talk to you. They can reply back by email, but ideal scenario, they will accept the proposal you made. And as you can see from here, just to give you an overview of some features, they can sign online the document. So if you are dealing with contracts, you can see there the potential. And obviously they can pay online. So I'm just gonna record a payment here. So you see the idea. But what's interesting with payments, you can save the card on file, which means when you are dealing with multiple steps, multiple installments prior to the event, you can simplify that process a lot. So it could be by credit card, by bank transfer, all this from the quote, the online quote you're sending. So that's the idea, just to give you an overview. Now I'm going to show you actually the back office, how you can get there and how you can deal with the different steps you have through event sales. So if right now I'm in QuoteMachine. So you access QuoteMachine online, just like any other component you have in your part of your Lightspeed setup. So what you can see, by the way, when I'm connecting to QuoteMachine, I can see a dashboard where I can see, oh, a customer just answered that offer I sent. So you can see the offer got accepted. You can see there's already money collected to it. And that money is also in Lightspeed. So everything at the end of the day is centralized in Lightspeed. So just an overview of the setup. Obviously, when you open QuoteMachine, you can see a Lightspeed logo here. So you can easily navigate back and forth between Lightspeed and QuoteMachine. You have a set of menus with contacts, with a list of quotes, a list of invoices. All of this is synchronized with Lightspeed. So all the contacts you see there are the same ones you have in Lightspeed, which obviously is pretty useful, especially when it comes to payment. If it touches for some reason the house account, it will be synced. So if I open a customer from here, you can be sure it's the same you have in Golf, and you see the same details. You will see QuoteMachine is organized around documents. So there's a series of document templates like quotes, contracts, BOs, invoices, all sorts of things like that. And the idea is you will be able to prepare beforehand nice templates so you can quickly focus on what you are going to sell rather than focusing on the layout and things like that. There's a lot of options to customize the interface, for instance, with custom fields. If you keep asking the same questions to customer in preparation for an event, you have access to all this. So it's connected to Lightspeed Retail, Lightspeed Golf at the same time. So it's really tightly integrated with Lightspeed. So in terms of integration, one last thing, it also supports, which is interesting in the context of events, it supports integrating with external calendars. So if you have a Google Calendar, Yahoo Calendar, or any type of standard calendar, you can connect QuoteMachine to it, which is obviously pretty useful when you need to book a specific location, a room. So that's the idea in terms of setup. So now let me jump into an experiment. So let's just try to make an offer. So let me walk you through the process. So the first thing you're gonna need, maybe let's just take the same example. You have a customer who wants to organize their wedding with you. So you can directly create the customer or pick one in your database. So in this case, you will probably create a new customer. So let's just say Kelly Johnson wants to organize her wedding at your property. So you just need basically a name and an email so I can send the offer. So there you go, I have my customer. So the first thing I want to do, if I know the customer is pretty committed already, I will probably want to book a date on the calendar just to make sure. So I'm going to keep the banquet room and book it for the day of the event. So let's just say it's that day here. And there you go. So like this, I booked a room for that event. So now coming back to the actual offer, and I'm just going to capture the name of the bride and grooms here. So first thing you see, now that you have a customer, you've booked a date, now it's pretty straightforward. You see the pricing table. So you're going to click there and you will get access to all your products. So you can have products populated beforehand. There's a concept of catalog in QuoteMachine. These products can come from Lightspeed directly, or you can create new ones. So in this case, maybe you want to offer buffet selection. So you can see I already have a couple of options in my catalog. So I'm just going to add them to the pricing table. Obviously, like, not everything needs to be prepared beforehand. If you want to make a custom catering service, for instance, with a specific menu, you could simply click here, quick create, and you would be able to create your custom menu instantly. You just need minimally a title and a price. That's how it works. Obviously, it's nicer if you can provide images, if you can provide description. Typically, you can write down the description, as you can see here. For this buffet, I have all the details about what's included in there. But you could even attach a PDF with a menu. So there's a lot of flexibility into how much detail you want to provide in preparation for an event. So you will add items like this. Obviously, you could change the quantity. You could do things like that, discount. Everything is pretty easy to understand and self-discoverable. A few things that are interesting. I was showing you the interactive options, how the customer can select something. So it's very easy to use. So let's just say the custom menu is an option. You can click there, say, hey, it's an optional item. So this will be turned into a checkbox on the resulting proposal. A few things that are quite useful in your context. So maybe you're working with specific taxes, or maybe you have service fees. So one thing you can do, you can automate fees. So you could say, I have a service fee here, which is 20%. So automatically it will calculate the service fee. You can decide the service fee should not be applied to one specific line. So you could say, maybe this is a golf item, so you don't want to have a service fee on a cart rental. So you could simply unselect and say, hey, no fee on that particular item on the pricing table. So like this, you can play. Same with taxes. All the taxes you have, since it's synchronized with Lightspeed, they're coming from Lightspeed. So all the taxes you have set up in Lightspeed, you can use in QuoteMachine. At the end of the day, it will show up under the reports you're familiar with. So that's pretty much the basics. One other thing that's interesting in the context of a proposal, maybe you want to, just to book the date, let's say, you want to collect a 30% deposit up front. Obviously, it's optional, but that's how you would set it up. So like this, you can see next step, I can email that offer to my customer, or I can even text it. Before doing so, I will just click Edit Design, so you see what it's looking like before. So here, as you can see, I'm using the template I had on my example, but you can switch templates pretty easily. So typically, if you do banquets and golf outings, you might have one template for golf outings, one for banquets. But you can see, it's very easy to switch between templates. And everything you see on screen can be changed, right? Like, so if you want to alter that description specifically for that customer, simply click on it, change it. It's as easy as that. So now I'm satisfied with what I see on screen. I'm just going to send it. And there you go. So this is how you make a proposal for an event. From there, this is your back office. So what's interesting, if I go back to the dashboard and I open the one that got accepted, you get lots of insights. So in this case, I know the customer spent 6 minutes on the offer I sent. So this is extremely useful for follow-ups. If you realize the customer never opened the offer you sent, maybe you got the email wrong, or maybe you should give them a call just to see what's going on. So you have lots of tools like that, so you can really optimize your sales process. If I continue there, once an offer is accepted, what you might want to do is maybe you want from the offer, send a contract. So you can see the contract here. It's just the click of one additional button, and same idea. The contract, it's an online document. You can obviously print it, but online it's nicer because you don't have to have the customer can sign pretty much instantly or anywhere. So you can send the contract, just one more click like this. So you can see how streamlined it is. You will save a lot of back and forth, or if you need to have some back and forth, it will happen pretty easily, pretty instantly. So a few features, well, you notice there's a chat on the quote, so the customer can talk to you directly on the chat. Everything is centralized on the dashboard. So anytime you're getting a communication from the customer, it will pop up in your mailbox and also in the dashboard, so you know what to do. So that's basically the idea to make sales. Obviously, you have versioning, you can duplicate, you can alter if needed, because we know there's a lot of back and forth in preparation for an event. But usually what happens, you will make the sale, you will get a deposit, and then the real work starts, because this is where maybe there will be some tasting. And this is when usually people start using what we call a BEO, a banquet event order. So from the quote here, I can confirm that quote was won. And as soon as I do that, I get additional options. So I could directly invoice it. If it's a quick and easy event, I invoice it, I send the invoice, and I collect the remaining balance. Or I could click here, create order, and I will play with the BEO. So with BEOs, depending on how you operate, sometimes it's an internal document just for your staff, so they know what's the food that needs to be prepared, at what time it should be put on the table, what's the organization of the event. Sometimes it's also an external document where you actually want the customer to sign off at every change you make. This is also where you want to centralize all the payments that were collected. So just to show you, it's already a familiar interface for you. But what you can see is you have all the products I had on the quote, all the details, everything that was booked on the calendar. I can capture additional details like the guest count, like the setup requirements. So let's just say, and this is all customizable with all this is custom fields. So typically, if the guest count is something you use, you could set up a field there, no worries. But for instance, you will see you have, it's a nice interface for the staff to discuss basically. So for instance, you have internal notes. So people could use that to leave a comment. All the custom fields can be used, like for instance, in terms of setup requirements, you could have something like that. The client is providing napkins. In terms of decor, let's just say it's going to be white linen. So it's really extremely flexible, and we can help you customize it so that it suits exactly the way you operate. So that's the idea with the BEO. So once you have the BEO, again, same idea. So it could be something that you want to send to the customer. So it could look like this, with all the prices, where they can see all their payments. You can have them sign every time you're making a change. Or you could have it internal. So if you want to keep it internal, and maybe let's just say you want to share it with some staff who shouldn't see the pricing. So you would simply use a template that's maybe more staff friendly. So they don't see unnecessary details, but they will see what they really need. For instance, something focused on what's the food specifically, at what time things happen. So this is how you can play with templates in QuoteMachine to basically manage the preparation for the event. Another word for payments, on payments. From the BEO, I can keep receiving payments. So I will simply click receive payment. Here, I already have the card on file from the customer. So let's just say I want to take another 30%. I can simply select the card on file, take the payment, and that's it. It's as simple as that. Just to show you, because I think I haven't shown it yet, every time there's a payment, it's actually exported to Lightspeed. So I could see that payment in Lightspeed. I simply have to click here and it will show as a deposit on the customer's account. So here I have to log in Lightspeed. There you go. So you can see if I were to check at this customer's account, I can see the payment that was just made on the account. So you can see it integrates really well. So you've seen proposals, you've seen BEOs, how you can manage that. The last step really at this point is usually the final invoice. Same idea. There are different ways you can do that. Technically, you could do that from Lightspeed directly at the point of sale. You could simply use the money you have on deposit, generate a statement there. Or in this case, you could turn the BO or the quote directly into an invoice. You can confirm the quantities and that everything happened as expected. So you're getting an opportunity, maybe you didn't use that, you want to remove that, you can still do it. And then you can finalize the invoice by emailing it or just simply clicking on mark as done. And as soon as you do the invoice, so here the system is telling me, hey, you collected a couple of deposits, they probably should show up, which I'm confirming. And from here, it's pretty easy. You can receive the final payment or the customer can pay it. Here again, the invoice can be an online document you share with the customer, so they could pay directly from there. Or you could take the payment yourself. Maybe this time it's the check. And this is what will turn your invoice into a fully paid invoice. And this invoice is also in Lightspeed. So if you're familiar with some specific reports in Lightspeed, it will show up under your reports. Okay, so that was an overview for the event sales. Now I'm going to switch to registration. Let me just check quickly if there's any question in the chat. I think we're good. And anyways, you can always follow up after this call with the Lightspeed team. So I'm going to keep sharing my screen and I will show you now the event registration. So here, it's a very simple problem. You want to get people to register for an event, pay for it, while also making sure it's convenient for them and that the money goes at the right place. Here we'll heavily leverage our integration with Lightspeed Golf to make sure we're putting the money at the right place. All right, and I can see there's a question. I'm going to answer it. So regarding the integration points, so it integrates with Lightspeed Retail primarily and Lightspeed Golf directly. With Lightspeed Golf, it's going to be used to fetch the player types, and you will see how it's used with the registration module. No direct integration with Lightspeed Restaurant. So if you need to pull your catalog from Lightspeed Restaurant, we'll just do a manual import for you. That's how it's managed right now. I think it might become automated later this year. But the idea, anyways, we're always trying to make that easy for you. So if there's data already available in Lightspeed that you could use in QuoteMachine, we're going to do our best so you can get access to it. But right now, the restaurant catalog has to be imported manually. So moving on to the registration module, and I'll look again later if there are further questions. So let me create a registration form, and you will see how it works. It's pretty easy. But first, maybe let me show you something in Lightspeed Golf. So in Lightspeed Golf, and you're more familiar with the golf management than I am, but you have your members with their status, and you can also have specific accounts that you want to use to centralize the money for a specific event. So here we'll play a little bit with that. And I'm just checking if I have, okay, so I have a few customers. So I'm just gonna check if I have members. There you go. So I have some members, I have people that are registered, and maybe just regular visitors. So I can play with that in the registration form. All right, so creating a registration form, you can do it from the calendar by scheduling an event, or you can do it from scratch here, simply click on registration, new registration form. So first question, pretty straightforward. What's the event about? So you wanna name it in a way that makes sense to you. And then when people register, the first question you're gonna be asked is, what should happen in terms of money? You might wanna create an invoice right away, or you might wanna use a credit memo. And usually this is the option you will wanna use. Because when people pay, you just wanna collect the money and you will basically use it later. When the event happens, you will issue the invoice, and at the time you issue that invoice, you want to take all the money you collected for the registration and apply it to the invoice, not before. So that's giving you the flexibility you need by simply creating a credit memo instead of invoicing for real the customer who registers. And then you notice there's a concept of credit memo receiver. So in this case, you can create an account in Lightspeed Golf that will be collecting all the money. So this is the fundamental setup of a registration form. Where does the money go? And so as you can see here, this end of year 2022, it's an account that I have in Lightspeed Golf. There you go. So if I look at that account here, I can see, it's just a brand new account. There's no money on it, but you will see through the registration form that you will see some money popping up here. All right, so how do I set up a registration form? Simple rules. Obviously, you want to set up a limit just to make sure there are not too many people that are registering for the event. You can limit the overall number of orders, or you can even limit line by line. Let's just say if it's about food, for instance, you want to make sure you don't oversell if there's no space in your fridges, basically. And then another setting that's quite interesting is the player types allowed to register, because you will see just like any QuoteMachine document. So technically anyone could get access to the registration form, but if you can restrict who can access. So here in this case, maybe I'm gonna say only the junior member can register for that event. Let's just say it's an event only for them. All right, so here, this is the technical setup. And then as business as usual, when it comes to the pricing table, you will put items that you want to sell here. So let's just say, in this case, it could be a golf item, or yeah, let's just go with that. Something that has a price, basically. So it could be registration. You could call it registration, as simple as that. In this case, maybe I'm gonna make it tax exempt, although it's not that important. So I have a line, I have restrictions and rules. I can activate my registration form. Obviously, just like anything else in QuoteMachine, there's a template you can use, you can customize the look and feel. But this is basically what the registration form looks like. It lives on its own address that you can send to your customers through a mailing list, for instance. So here, let's just say I'm gonna register, but I'm not a junior member. So I will say, all right, I want that option. I'm just gonna use a random email here. Basically somebody who's not a junior member. And what you will notice right away, the system is telling me, hey, you can't register for that event. It's reserved for junior members. So now let's just make sure I'm gonna use, so I notice Justin Bieber is a junior member. So I'm gonna try to register with Justin Bieber. So let me just copy paste his email address. That should be enough. So if I continue to payment, since Justin is a junior member, I'm getting access to the payment options. two things important to notice with payments. Since Justin is a member, you can activate the on account payment type option. So technically, Justin could apply a charge on their house account, which is, pretty flexible, pretty useful. So, and that's also why the restrictions are super important. You want to control who and who can't do that. But here in this case, let's just say Justin will pay by credit card. And there you go. So this is how the registration works. I'm just going to wait for the payment to be processed. There we go. So the customer gets a confirmation. They paid something. If I look at my registration form, I can see there was one registration which resulted in a deposit. So technically, if I look at the events account in Golf, I should see the money. So I'm just going to refresh. So we get a confirmation here. There you go. So you can see there's $50 that are on the event account. And here in this case, Justin paid using a credit card, so it didn't affect its house account, but technically it could. If it was paying on account, you would see there, you would see that Justin is owing money. So that's the idea with the event registration. So you can see how powerful that is. People can register online and the money goes directly at the right place and will show exactly where you need it in your reports. All right, so that was the demo for today. There's a lot more I can show, but I think these two modules are the most critical ones, the most useful ones in the context of events, and a huge time saver too. So taking a look at other questions, if any.
Thanks, JD. Since this is such a small group, if you had any other additional questions, you can unmute your your mic and ask your questions right now, since this is a smaller presentation. So if you have any questions, now would be a great time to kind of ask your questions to JD, since he has a very comprehensive solution to a lot of the things that you're kind of looking for at your facility.
Hey, good morning, JD. Thank you guys for hosting this meeting. Just a quick question, and I jumped on a few minutes late and you may have covered that. And if you did, I apologize. But what is the add-on fee for this module for Lightspeed customers?
So this is a question like you would typically discuss with your account manager at Lightspeed Golf. I don't know, Arya, if you have a price range you can give, or this is something that's discussed on a case by case.
On a case by case, depending on kind of what you want, but we can certainly, after this, Trey, put you in touch with your account manager and have him reach out to kind of book an additional call to go over what your requirements might be and how we can kind of reach in. But it is, to answer your question, there is an added cost, but that cost would be based on what you would add to your QuoteMachine contract.
Okay, perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Were there any other questions? I guess I can also kind of answer the question that you had in terms of integration with Lightspeed Restaurant. Since we do take credit and payments on the retail account in Golf, we do kind of consolidate retail and restaurant anyway with the house account. So if you were to take a deposit in retail, that deposit can still be applied in the house account for the consolidated balance for any transactions that were to occur in restaurant. So, if you were to take, let's say, a 5,000 event deposit in retail, and you had 2,000 for the Golf aspect of your event and 3,000, let's say, in F&B and in banquet, at the end of the day in Golf, it kind of still consolidates all of that on the house account. So, even though the integration is exclusively with retail at the moment, in Golf and Lightspeed Golf, which also integrates with QuoteMachine, that is kind of consolidated. So just to kind of answer that question as well, Trey. All right. Well, if there aren't any other questions, we do have a recording of this as well. So we will send out the recording. Again, JD, thank you so much for doing this. And if there are any questions, we'll direct them to you as well.
Of course. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you. Have a nice day and
Thank you,
rest
JD.
of your week.
Thanks for your time, JD.